If there's one person I swore I'd never forgive, it's that no-good scoundrel Jack Henderson. I sat in my usual spot at Joe's Diner, the same place I'd been coming to for nearly 3 decades. The coffee was hot, the biscuits fresh, and the jukebox in the corner played an old Johnny Cash tune. It was a perfectly ordinary morning, until Marvin ruined it. My old friend plopped a thick envelope onto the table in front of me. Guess what, Walter? The class of '72 is having a 50-year reunion next month. I barely spared it a glance. Wonderful. A whole evening of pretending I remember people's names while everyone compares knee surgeries. Marvin chuckled. Come on, it'll be fun. Jenny Thompson is coming. You remember Jenny, don't you? I did. She was my first crush. But then Marvin mentioned the name that made my stomach tighten. Jack Henderson's supposed to be there too. My grip on my coffee cup tightened. Jack Henderson? Marvin nodded, completely oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Yeah, you and Jack were thick as thieves back in the day. More like he was the thief, I muttered. I hadn't seen Jack in 50 years. And I hadn't forgiven him either. It all went back to the fall of 1971, during the state championship game. We were the underdogs, and I was the team's best wide receiver. With 10 seconds left on the clock, we had one last play to win. Jack, our quarterback, just had to throw me the ball. But he didn't. For some reason, some stupid, unforgivable reason, he threw it to someone else. A guy with hands like buttered popcorn. The ball slipped right through, the other team intercepted it, and we lost. The crowd went silent. Our coach looked ready to explode. And me? I just stared at Jack, my blood boiling. You were supposed to pass it to me, I had said through gritted teeth. Jack just shrugged. I thought it was the right call. That was it. No apology. No regret. Just that. I never spoke to him again. And now, after all these years, he was going to be at this reunion? I clenched my jaw. Maybe I should go, just to remind him of what he did. Maybe I'd finally get that apology I deserved. Or maybe I'd just throw my coffee at him. Either way, I was going. For the next few weeks, I debated whether or not to actually go to the reunion. Every time I thought about Jack Henderson, my hands itched to strangle something, preferably a stress ball, but I wasn't ruling out his neck. Still, curiosity got the better of me. On the evening of the reunion, I put on my best suit, which really just meant the only suit I owned, combed my remaining hair, and drove to the high school gym. The place was buzzing with laughter, music, and the occasional "oh my gosh, you haven't changed a bit," which was the biggest lie I'd ever heard. I stepped inside, immediately bombarded by the smell of stale punch and bad cologne. A banner read, "Welcome back, class of '72," and beneath it stood a bunch of old people who vaguely resembled my classmates. Good Lord, I muttered. We all look like expired versions of ourselves. Marvin was near the buffet table, shoving a mini sandwich into his mouth. When he saw me, he waved enthusiastically. Walter, you made it. Yeah, I grumbled. Where's Jack? Marvin's face fell. He set his sandwich down and scratched his head. Oh, you didn't hear? Jack couldn't make it. Health issues. I frowned. Health issues? Yeah, he's been in and out of the hospital the last few years. I think he's in a nursing home now. Well, that certainly wasn't the dramatic showdown I had been expecting. I had spent weeks preparing my speech, the one where I'd list all the ways he had ruined my life, demand an apology, and then dramatically walk away while he stood there, guilt-ridden. But now I just felt strange. Marvin saw my expression and patted my shoulder. Hey, but he wanted you to have this. He pulled a small envelope from his pocket and handed it to me. I hesitated before opening it. The paper was slightly yellowed, like it had been written a while ago. Walter, the letter began. I don't know if you'll ever read this, but if you do, I want you to know that I've thought about that game more times than I can count. You deserved that pass, and you deserved an explanation. But I was too proud, too stupid to tell you the truth. I frowned, gripping the letter tighter. That day, I found out my dad had lost his job. My family was struggling, and I knew I wouldn't be able to afford college. I wasn't thinking straight. I panicked. I made the wrong call, and I've regretted it ever since. I swallowed. The letter continued. What you don't know is that after the game, I did something I never told anyone. The college scout that was there, he had been considering offering me a scholarship. But when I realized I didn't deserve it, I told him to look at you instead. I froze. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. You got that scholarship because you earned it, Walter. But I wanted to make sure you got noticed. It was the least I could do after what I did. I lowered the letter, staring blankly at the words. Jack Henderson, the man I had despised for half a century, was the reason I had gone to college. The reason I had gotten out of that small town. I looked around the reunion hall, at the faces of old friends laughing and reminiscing. And for the first time in 50 years, I wasn't sure if I had been the one who had been wrong all along. A familiar voice inside my head whispered, "Now what, Walter?" I didn't know, but I was starting to think it was time to find out. I don't know how long I stood there, gripping that letter as if letting go of it would make the truth disappear. Around me, the reunion carried on, people laughing, old friends reuniting, stories being shared, but I felt like I was somewhere else entirely. 50 years. 50 damn years. I had spent half a century resenting Jack Henderson, turning his name into a personal curse, replaying that game over and over in my head. And all that time, he had been carrying a different memory, one of guilt, regret, and a secret sacrifice he never told a soul about. You okay, Walter? Marvin's voice pulled me back to reality. I blinked a few times and cleared my throat. Yeah, I muttered. I need some air. Marvin didn't press me. He just gave me a small nod, the kind that said, I get it, take your time. I stepped outside into the cool evening air. The parking lot was quiet, a stark contrast to the noise inside. I took a deep breath, trying to sort through the mess of emotions swirling in my chest. Anger, guilt, a strange kind of relief. For 50 years, I had told myself a simple story. Jack Henderson betrayed me. Jack Henderson ruined my biggest moment. But now I knew the truth, and it was a hell of a lot more complicated. I reached into my pocket, fingers brushing against the letter. I could still hear Jack's words in my head. You got that scholarship because you earned it, Walter. But I wanted to make sure you got noticed. Damn him. Damn him for carrying that secret all these years. Damn him for never telling me. And damn me for never asking. I ran a hand down my face, exhaling sharply. Marvin, I said when I stepped back inside. He turned to me, mid-bite into a deviled egg. Yeah, where's Jack's nursing home? Marvin's eyebrows shot up. He swallowed his bite. You really want to go see him? I hesitated. The old, stubborn part of me wanted to say no. That part wanted to cling to the grudge like a security blanket, to pretend none of this changed anything. But the truth was, it changed everything. Yeah, I said, my voice quieter this time. I think I do. 20 minutes later, I found myself standing outside Rosewood Nursing Home. The building was quiet, bathed in the dim glow of streetlights. I hesitated at the entrance. What was I supposed to say? Hey Jack, surprise! Turns out I don't hate you anymore. I almost turned around right then. But then I thought about the letter in my pocket. About the fact that Jack had written it, knowing he might never get a response. And about the fact that if I walked away now, I'd be making the same mistake I did 50 years ago. So I stepped inside. A nurse led me down a long hallway. The air smelled like antiseptic and faint traces of lavender, like someone had tried to make the place feel less clinical. And then finally there he was, Jack Henderson, sitting by the window in a wheelchair, staring out into the darkened garden. His hair was thinner, his frame smaller, but when he turned and saw me, his face broke into a slow, tired smile. Well, I'll be damned, Jack wheezed. Walter Miller. You actually showed up. I took a deep breath. Yeah, I muttered. Figured I'd come see what an old backstabber looks like these days. Jack chuckled, a weak, raspy sound, but real. Still holding on to that, huh? I sat down in the chair next to him. You really did it, didn't you? I said, pulling the letter from my pocket. You told that scout about me. Jack nodded, his smile fading. Yeah, I did. Why the hell didn't you ever tell me? He exhaled slowly, looking down at his hands. Would you have believed me? I opened my mouth, then closed it. No, I wouldn't have. Jack must have seen the realization on my face, because he smirked. See? That's why I didn't bother. I let out a sharp breath. Damn it, Jack. Jack just smiled. You gonna forgive me now, or should I start writing another letter? I snorted. Oh, don't push your luck, Henderson. But for the first time in 50 years, I didn't feel angry anymore. Jack and I sat there for a long time, talking about everything and nothing. We reminisced about old friends, the stupid pranks we used to pull, the times we got detention together. For a little while, it felt like we were just two kids again, laughing at the world. At one point, Jack shook his head. You know, I always figured if I ever saw you again, you'd sock me in the jaw. I smirked. Oh, don't think I didn't consider it. Jack laughed, then coughed, a deep, rattling sound that made my stomach twist. I hadn't asked about his health, but I didn't need to. I could see it in his eyes. You gonna be okay? I asked, my voice quieter than I meant it to be. Jack just smiled. Nah, but that's all right. I had a good run. I swallowed hard. We had wasted so much time. And now there wasn't much left. Jack must have seen it on my face because he nudged me with his elbow. Hey, don't go getting all sentimental on me, Miller. We're too old for that nonsense. I chuckled. Yeah. A comfortable silence settled between us. You know, Jack said after a while, I spent years wondering if you'd ever forgive me. Guess I should have just written that letter sooner. I thought about all the years I had spent carrying that anger. And I realized something. I think I forgave you a long time ago, I admitted. I just never realized it. Jack smiled a slow, knowing grin. Well, took you long enough. A few months later, Jack was gone. I sat at his funeral, listening to old classmates share stories. He had lived a good life, a full life, and despite everything, I was glad we had found our way back to each other before it was too late. After the service, I drove to the old high school football field. It looked smaller than I remembered, the bleachers rusted, the grass patchy. But as I stood there, I could almost hear the echoes of our youth, the cheers, the whistles, the sound of a ball spiraling through the air. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the letter, unfolding it carefully. You got that scholarship because you earned it, Walter. I took a deep breath, then let the paper slip from my fingers. The wind carried it across the field, sending it tumbling end over end, disappearing into the past where it belonged. Some lessons take a lifetime to learn. And some friendships, no matter how broken, find their way back home.